Hey, what's up? It's Evan from photoextremist.com, and today we are going to be photographing this. Now, I can assure you this is not my urine. This is actually water mixed in with food coloring. And this one over here is water mixed in with holy powder. This one is a little bit more gold in color, and this one is a little bit more yellow, and it's punchy and it gives it that zing, which is perfect for this type of picture. But first, before we get into that, here is the setup. So I have a DSLR. You can use any DSLR you want to, and I have a wireless trigger on it. This is a Pocket Wizard setup. This simply communicates with the flashes to set them off right when I push the button on my camera. If you wanted to go old school, you could hook the flashes up to the PC sync cord right there and trigger them using a wire if you wanted to, if you don't have wireless triggers. But the reason why I'm just using one light is because we are photographing just a wine glass, and it's glass. So basically the light will come in from behind, hit this surface on this glass, create a reflection, a bright highlight. That light will then pass through again on this glass and create another highlight over here. So it's a very simple light. And notice how that light is very geometrical. It's a very straight light. If I were to use an umbrella light, those have spokes and it's round, and it would just create a different type of reflection, which is not what I personally want to do. Now if we look at the light, it's an Einstein E640. I'll leave a link again down below so you can check this out. The reason why I'm not using speed lights right now is because this light can plug into the wall, and it's very reliable and very bright, much brighter than a speed light. And also with this light, it has this awesome mode that you can put it in called action. There's two different modes right there. There's action and color. Color has a little bit longer flash duration, so it's not the best for high speed stuff, but action has a shorter flash duration, but when you trigger the shot, the color fluctuates slightly between each different shot. It really isn't that big of a deal, so I leave it on action because my priority is to freeze any sort of movement. A lower flash power usually means a shorter flash duration. So if you can, try to have it on the lower end of the spectrum, and you'll usually, on average, get a better, faster flash. So that's what this light is. You can see it has a little Pocket Wizard thing plugged in the light. You don't need that necessarily, but it does make things more efficient. As you can see in the shot that I showed you, the background was blue, but this is a black background. So in order to get it blue, I just have this light. I have two gels on it because I really want to get the blue looking very blue. And this is also on action mode, and it's just aimed up at the background. And you can see my camera's right there, but my camera cannot see that light. It's hidden below the table. All right, and for the camera settings, because I am using these strobes and not speed lights, because these strobes are so bright, I am able to use the ideal settings on my camera without having to compensate and use something not as ideal. A 250th of a second dialed in, which technically that doesn't mean anything because I'm using the flashes, but that will eliminate the ambient light. F14 is a very sharp, and it has a good depth of field. And then the ISO is at 100, which is very low. It's going to give me a noiseless image. If I was using speed lights in this exact same situation, I could still do that, but because the speed lights are not as bright as these studio lights, I would have to use different settings on my camera. I would probably have to put that to maybe f4 or something like that, maybe f5.6 or something, and then raise the ISO up to maybe ISO 1600 or something like that. And those settings would not be as ideal as the settings that I have dialed in right now. And of course, the white balance is set to flash because I'm using a flash. Now, one more thing I want to show you is this Pocket Wizard technology here. Let me go over to this light really quick. This light is on zone B, okay? This light I've set to zone C, and it also has the Power MC2. So because I have the Power MC2 Pocket Wizard thing plugged into that light and that light, I can then control both of those lights independently using this zone controller. You can set as many lights as you want to either of the three zones, zone A, B, and C. As you can see, I'm only using 2 lights, so one light is hooked up to zone C, the other one's hooked up to zone B. And I can make the lights brighter or darker by using this knob, and I can also turn them off, turn them on, do things like that. And so this is basically just attached to the Mini TT1. Now there is one last thing that I have on my camera that I haven't told you about yet. It's just a wireless trigger for the shutter. So I can hold this in my hand, push the button, and it will take a picture even if I'm standing like 50 feet that way or whatever. So this is kind of necessary when I'm by myself. This thing is pretty accurate most of the time, but if possible, I would still prefer to be behind the camera if I could be. But this will do for right now. Okay, so now's the fun part. I'm just gonna take a pencil and make a mark on this table. I'll actually put an X right where the glass should be over. This will just let me know, because this glass is lined up pretty meticulously with the camera. If I take a picture with it, you can see that the wine glass is kind of on the left side of the frame and there's some empty space over here. I'm going to be filling that empty space with some splishy, splashy, spandex water tosses, and that's just going to make the picture really cool. So here we go. Now you can try different things as well, like maybe this. I don't know if that'll work or not, but. Now because we have the shot of my hand holding the glass and me throwing it, and my hand was holding it from down here, I'm going to take another shot with my hand holding just the top of the glass. That way I can erase my hand in Photoshop later because I have this part of the glass photographed without my hand being around it. I'll show you later on the computer, but I'm just going to take a picture with it like this at several angles above the thing. And then of course maybe just one sitting there just in case I need that. Now another thing of what you can do is make little puddles on whatever surface you're using, and you could even make those puddles different colors if you really wanted to. But what you could do at that point is make a puddle and then just make a splash over that puddle with the wine glass, just like this. I'll show you. Just lift it up, just like that. And of course you want to do those a bunch of times too. That was probably a really good one. So that's enough of that. Plus, you get all the cool color down here, which looks pretty awesome. And even just this pattern alone on the table with the red and the yellow looks pretty interesting. There's some creative ideas right there. And now when you're photographing these pictures, you're going to want to be checking the back of your camera to make sure that the glass and the water are not going out of the frame. That's pretty important because we're zoomed in so much with this lens. It's a tight crop, so we really have to be careful with what we're doing. We can't lift the glass up too high because then it's out of the frame. And then why not? All right. Okay, the first thing you'll want to do is drag and drop your photos into Photoshop, and that will open up this dialog box. Just hit select all to select all your pictures and then edit them. As you can see, I only have 3 selected. I have this one, and the splash down here. And these other ones have X's on them. I pushed the delete key on those, so Photoshop will not open those up. So I'm going to select all of them and then click Open Objects. Then Photoshop will open all those images into separate documents here. So what you will have to do is copy these into the same Photoshop document so we can work with them as layers. So you want to push Ctrl or Command A to copy the entire canvas, then push Ctrl or Command C to copy that selection. Move over to the actual Photoshop document that you're going to be working in, and then push Ctrl or Command V. That will paste it in this document. So now we have 2 layers in this document. So we're going to close out of this document since we don't need that anymore, and then we'll go into this Photoshop document, do the same thing, Ctrl A, Ctrl C, close out of it, and then go into the main one we're going to be working in, and then push Control V. So now they're all right here. And I did want to show you really quick, because I was using 1/4 power on those strobes and I threw the wine glass in this particular picture, you can actually see it is blurry at 100%. It doesn't really look all that great. But with these ones, these came out okay because the water wasn't moving that fast, so it came out pretty clear for the most part. But if I really wanted to freeze it even more, I could lower the flash power. And then, you know, make my aperture a little bit wider and maybe raise the ISO number to compensate. But that's just that. I'm going to get out of this. I just wanted to show you that you will need to experiment and look at the picture at 100% to see if it's being frozen good enough. So we got our 3 pictures here. So what I'm going to do is go on this layer, make just a rough selection right here, and then push the layer mask button to have that part that I selected be the only part that is actually showing up. Then we're just going to move this. I'll actually put it on lighten so we can see through it and see where to place it. It's going to zoom in, see what angle we need it at and stuff. So to change the angle, I'll have to push Control T and then zoom in again probably, and then get that angle looking a little bit better so it matches up with the picture below it. Yeah, right about there is good. Okay, then we'll put it back to normal. And now what I'm going to do is just use the layer mask again. I'm going to click the layer mask, and then I'm just going to erase the part that I don't need of that glass. Now, I'm only going to do this very quickly for this example. If you were doing this in real life, you would want to be, you would want to take your time with this. But I'm really just rough sketching this just so you get the idea. So I'd want to erase that, and then erase this. And then it's pretty much done right there. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So that I was rough sketching it, and ideally you also would not want to have the wine glass on top, directly on top of this table. You would want it completely inside of the blue background, if that makes sense. In front of the blue background. So in order to get the splash to show up for the pictures underneath it, what I'm going to do is just create a layer mask again and fill it in with black. And again, I'm really just eyeballing this. I'm not doing a good job at this. And then just make sure that the rest of the picture shows, and you'll get something like that. And again, you would have to be more detailed down here. I was pretty detailed with the shot with the pink liquid, but with this, I'm really just eyeballing it. And then you would get that. One other thing. The picture on the left, the wine glass is rotated in a diagonal way. That's how it was originally. But then the picture on the right, I rotated it to be straight up and down. This is a big difference symbolically, because the one on the left, it's on a diagonal line. Diagonal lines in photography symbolizes subconsciously movement, action, and energy. Whereas vertical lines represent power, strength. I wanted this photo to convey more of an energetic feel, so I like the one on the left much better than the one on the right, although the one on the right is kind of cool as well. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and be sure to head on over to my website, photoextremist.com, and sign up on the email list. Because if you sign up on the email list, I'll be sending you lots of free ebooks on photography that are very helpful, that I've written. So if you like what you see, sign up on the Photo Extremist email list and you'll get more of it. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I just got urine all over my hand. Oh, isn't that nice? All over the floor.